Shalom, Aha, Wa, Baraka. It is truly a blessing to be able to make it out onto the highways and the hedges. See, I don't live in Tucson, I don't live in Phoenix. I live almost in Mexico, in the middle of the desert. So I live very far away. So it's definitely a pleasure to be here. And let's just get right into it. Hegelian dialectic. I've told you this before. Of course the train's gonna show up right when I start talking. Dialectic means tragedy for all with a predetermined outcome. Dialectic. Hegelian dialectic. It is order through chaos. Okay? But the word dialectic, it truly means tragedy for all with a predetermined outcome. Alright, sorry about that. I had to let that stupid train pass. Of course all the noise in the world is going to show up right when you go to bring the word out. Tell me this isn't real. Let's get into it. First and foremost, let's go to the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus. Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus. Sirach, chapter 33, verse 4. Prepare what to say, and so thou shalt be heard. And bind up instruction, then make answer. Prepare what you're going to say before you say it. And it says, bind up instruction and then make answer. So if somebody asks you a question, be sure to use the biblical scriptures to answer it. But that's not what this class is about. This class is about the Hegelian dialectica. Okay? Let's go over to we're going to start at Psalm chapter 10. And we're going to start at, honestly, we're just going to read it all. Psalms chapter 10, starting from the top. Why standest thou afar off, O Yahweh? Why hidest thyself in times of trouble? Why would he hide himself in times of trouble? Well, let's find out. And what kind of times of trouble is he hiding himself in right now? Because I want to show you guys something, because he's getting ready to show himself. Matthew 24, and we'll start at verse 6. Matthew 24 and 6. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Now these are the beginnings of sorrows. Now that we know where we're at, now that we know we're in times of trouble, why are you hiding your face from us, Lord? Why are you hiding your face, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai? In fact, hold on, let me stop everything. First and foremost, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakadash. And double honors to anybody bringing out the sincere truth. All right. Now, why would you hide yourself? Well, we know that the times of trouble are now. Why would he hide himself? The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. We're wicked, first of all. That's why he ain't dealing with us. But these wicked people are the wicked nations. And I'm going to show you about the wicked nations. Because what they do is they do order out of chaos, right? So let's read verse 2. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor, and let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Perfect example of that. There was a general in an army named Haman. He was in the army of Xerxes. Now, Xerxes had a wife named Esther. Look it up. That's his name. Do some research. So Xerxes chose Esther as his wife. Haman hated the Israelites. Haman didn't know Esther was an Israelite. Haman decided that he wanted to hang Mordecai from the gallows that he had built just for Mordecai. Also, he made a proclamation to persecute the children of Israel. So, Esther found out, and Haman was going to proclaim that he would be able to do this, so he went to Xerxes. Xerxes asked Haman, Haman, I've got a man that I want to exalt in the kingdom. He's a really good man. I want to exalt him above all the other men. See, what Xerxes did, what Haman didn't know, is that Xerxes went to the Chronicles of the Kings, the history of what happened in the kingdom. And he realized that Mordecai had saved his life. And there was nothing ever done about it. So when Haman comes in, Haman's like, yeah, man, if I was going to exalt somebody in your kingdom, because of course Haman, in his pride, he thinks it's him. He thinks that the king wants to exalt him. So in his pride, he says, the finest horse, your finest garment, this, that, and the third, do all these things. Haman thinking that the king was going to do it for him. And then the king told Haman, I would like you to take Mordecai and do all these things. And so, of course, Haman followed the rules. At the end of that, Esther asked Xerxes, her husband, the king, if she could make dinner for him and Haman. Now, Haman was greatly honored. Haman was greatly honored to have dinner with the king and the queen. So he was bragging to his family, I'm going to go have dinner with the queen. So she makes a great meal. Xerxes is so satisfied with the meal, he says, anything within this kingdom I shall do for thee. And she looks at him and says, I want you to hang Haman from the gallows he built for Mordecai. Mordecai is my uncle, and he also wants to persecute the Jews, and I want that reversed. And so Xerxes got really angry, jumped up, stepped out of the room. See, what you don't understand about these times, the women didn't sit at the table. They would have a canopy bed with the lace around it and the cover over it. And so he ran over to her bed when the king had left the room and begged for his life. Now Xerxes walks back and sees him close to his wife. Now you're going to take my wife too? So flips out on him, takes Haman. And let me read verse 2 again. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Mordecai's the poor. He tried to persecute Mordecai. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Haman built a gallows just to hang Mordecai, so big that everybody in the kingdom would be able to see it. Haman got hanged by his own gallows. Haman was taken out by the devices of his own imagination. This stuff is real, okay? Verse 3. For the wicked doth boast of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous. So they brag about anything they want. Also, covetousness means greediness. They bless the greedy, whom Yahweh abhorreth. Abhorreth means hate. So the Lord hates him, and these wicked evil men love him. That's what it's saying. For the wicked, though the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after Yahweh. Yahweh is not in all his thoughts. So he's not seeking after the Most High. He's seeking after his own self-gain, for his fleshly, carnal, good, fuzzy feeling inside. That's what people do stuff for. So they can have that feeling that they did what they wanted. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. If you're not with me, you're against me, and you're my enemy. I don't care who you are. If you're not with me, you're my enemy. That is how they think. If you're not with them, you are an enemy of theirs, and they puffeth at you. So they do things against you. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. And then you know what? The Most High is going to deal with that too. That's how prideful they are. They think nothing's ever going to happen to them. This kingdom's going to last for all eternity, and it's just going to be that way. Everybody get used to it. It's not true. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Lies, fraud. There was a perfect example of fraud with, like when you buy a car. They lie to you about what the car actually, the miles, or lie to you about certain things about it, and that becomes fraudulent. It's a fraud. They lie to you. And I had a way better, it's just right at the tip of my tongue. I had a very good example of fraudulent behavior. I guess the best example we could use biblically is, this is the best example of fraud. Let's go to Revelation. You can go to 2 and 9. I'm going to go to 2 and 9 instead of 3 and 9. So Revelation 2, and we're going to start at verse 9. I know thy works and thy tribulations and poverty. He knows about the works we're doing. He knows that we're going through all these trials and tribulations, and he knows that we're stuck in this poverty. But thou art rich. How are we rich if we're in poverty? It's not a contradiction. See, we're rich because we understand this book, and he's coming to save us, not them. I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. That is a fraud. There's your fraud right there. Or how about Job 9 and 24? Here's another perfect example of being a fraud. Oh, there it is. Man, there it is. Job 9 and 24. What does it say? It says, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not him, then who is he? And then, of course, you can go to the Apocrypha, and I think it's 1 Maccabees 3:48, maybe 2nd. Also, 1 Maccabees 6:6. So there's a few things. There's a few things being said there about them being frauds, stealing our identity and stuff. So that's the best example I have of them being deceitful and fraudulent. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places he doth murder the innocent. His eyes are privily, they're secretly set against the poor. So, double talk is let me show you about this double talk, because this is how they secretly set up against the poor. What's the definition of double talk? Deliberately unintelligible speech combining nonsense syllables and actual words. So what do? They tell you a bunch of things that sound really good, but they're actually saying really bad things. Like, we need to give these people a stimulus check. This stimulus check is going to stimulate it. That's double talk. That's double talk. Look what the stimulus check did. It doubled the price of gas. It doubled the price of food. It doubled the price of rent. It doubled the price of clothes. It doubled the price of water. In fact, people can barely even, some people are eating less than one meal a day. That's what this stimulus check did for you. And they told you, but nobody wanted to listen. Everybody wanted to have that little bit of money in their hands, but they didn't understand that the payback was out of our asses. Let's keep moving. Let's keep going. Let's go back over to Psalms 10, and we're going to keep reading. Psalms 10, we're going to keep reading. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in a den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He puts out traps through his policy. He causes craft to prosper. So he makes up all these different rules and laws and regulations, and then he changes them all the time. So that way they can catch you on something. the best way to catch somebody, a poor person, would be to I forget what the word is called. But let's use marriage and divorce and child support as an example. A man gets married, and then he gets divorced from his wife. He has to pay child support now. Well, he's paying a certain amount out of his check, and child support is taking interest for the child support while you're paying for it. Also, let's say that she didn't have enough money and she also has to get food stamps and she's on welfare. The whole time you're paying child support. So now, you want to talk about trapped. Your child support is never going to be paid off because the interest rate is set just above what you're paying. So by the time you finish paying it off, or what you think you did, you're going to still owe 3 times what the original amount would have been. And then they tell you, also, you have to pay for all of the back food stamps and the health care. You have to pay for all that. You have to pay it all off before you're done, with interest. So now they're telling you that because of that, you never actually paid enough money. You owe all of this money. You only owe this much, but now you owe way up here. And they're telling you that they need more money out of you. Now, the most they can take is 25% of your paycheck. So they're taking 25%, and they decide, you know what? The interest now, because you didn't pay us enough, is growing faster than what you can pay. Your kids are already grown up. Now they're just hitting you with interest charges that you should have been paying a long time ago, is what they're saying. So what do? They seize all your assets. They freeze your bank account, and then they put you in jail. Let me read it again. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in a den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth them into his net, into his trap. So you've been drawn into the trap by just having to pay child support. You see what I'm saying? And like now you're serving a life sentence of back pay. So you're in financial prison. Let me keep going. He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. So what does he do? He's like Bill Gates. Bill Gates looks like the most harmless person on the earth, yet he's one of the most wicked, evil people, and he pays other people to do his deeds. One more verse. He hath said in his heart, Yahweh hath forgotten. He hath hidden his face. He will never see it. Arise. Oh wait, so he's never going to see you? Let's go ahead and get let's get the precept on that. Because he thinks, you hear it too. He hath said in his heart, Yahweh hath forgotten. He hath hidden his face, because why? Why hidest thyself in times of trouble? That's the very first verse. So in verse 11, he thinks that the Most High ain't looking at him anymore, and that he don't give a crap about him, and he can do whatever he wants. Well, let's see what the scriptures say. Sirach, chapter 23 and 19. This man is only afraid. No. You see how they try to throw a... And then they put the KJV almost at the very bottom. Why would they do that? See how they do? Okay. I'm not reading it outside of the KJV. I don't care. Sirach 23:19 KJV. Such a man only feareth the eyes of men. He said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He has hidden his face from me. He will never see it. He's only worried about the eyes. He thinks God is like other men. And he knoweth not that the eyes of Yahweh are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, knowing all your bullshit, and considering the most secret parts. So he knows everything, all of it. You ain't got away with nothing. And everything you thought you got away with, it's written right here in the book. And you're going to pay judgment for it. So don't think you're getting away with anything, because you're not. You're just really not. Let's jump over to James 3 and 15. I'm just going to do some jumping around. We're going to get some precepts. And like I said, I live, oh man, I live 20 miles on the other side of the mountains. I'll show you when I get home. So, let's do this. James 3, starting at verse 15. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. So, the wisdom that we're living by right now, the wisdom of man, the thought of man, only thinking that we worry about what man's eyes see, that wisdom, it descendeth not from above. That is not the wisdom of Yahweh. Bahashem Yahweh Shai Waharakadash. Rakakadash. But is earthly. So it's carnal. It's fleshly. Your wisdom is carnal and fleshly. That's why you can't get anywhere with it. It's sensual. That has to do with, I'm just going to put it, I don't want to say it wrong, but it's pertaining to sex. What's the biblical definition of sensual? Sexual appetite with the absence of the spirit or intellectual. With the absence of spiritual or intellectual. So it's just going through the motions. You don't have any, there's no life in you. You're just doing it for the feeling of the flesh. But anyway, let's move on. Let's go over to the book. And you know what? Let's read verse 16. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. So where there's envying and strife, there's confusion. Hegelian dialectic. What they do is they cause confusion, order out of chaos. And by the time you figure out what they've done, they've completed their plan, and now they're moving on to the next phase with a new distraction, with a new confusion. And every 5 weeks, there's a new distraction. What's the Hegelian dialectic about right now? They all of a sudden, there's like 10 or 11 school shootings in a row. There's no school shootings, all of a sudden there's 10 in a row. Yet, I was explaining to my wife and kids, where are the court cases? Or did every school shooter die? Where are all the school shooters? Where are their pictures? Where are their files? Can we go see them sitting and rotting in jail? No, because they don't exist. Order out of chaos. They tell you, oh, this is a bad thing. We can't have these school shooters. What should we do? And then you guys, yes, we need to do something about this. And they think, well, we've got an idea. Our idea is we'll take your gun and your gun and your gun. But the criminals still have the guns, and so does the government, who is the biggest criminal. How would you listen to a straight criminal tell you to give them your power to protect yourself? That's why they're doing all the school shootings. That's why they're doing all that. How about the green energy deal? You know why that they're pushing so hard to take everything away from the green energy deal? Because Biden promised the people that funded him that if you fund me, I'll do everything I said I would do for this green. The green energy deal is a scam. It sounds good, but it's double talk. Because if it was good, there was no infrastructure, there was no thought, there was no exit strategy, there was nothing put into it other than a few mumbo jumbo words. They took a whole bunch of money that disappeared. Now what happens? We have to buy new cars and pay twice as much for gas and food. Ordered through chaos. And they're going to tell you, well, if you want better food prices, you're going to have to go to Bill Gates. Because he owns the most farmland in America. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the world. He owns all the packaging and processing plants because all the ones that he didn't own burned down somehow. But anyway, let's jump around a little more. Let's go over to the book of Psalms, chapter 64. And 64 and 6. Like I said, they give you a bunch of mumbo jumbo words. They literally, this is what they're really doing. 64 and 6. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thoughts of every one of them and the heart is deep. These people are truly doing this by design. These aren't like coincidences. This is truly a Hegelian dialectic, and we're watching it unfold right before our eyes. We're watching it unfold. They're going to take our guns. They want to take our rights. They want to mark everybody. Let me go ahead and jump over to Proverbs 16:25. Like I said, I'm just going to jump around, pull out some precepts. It is a lot easier when there's another person to feed off of. Let me tell you. 16 and 25. There is a way that seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. So, what is this book? This book is the Spirit of life. What are the Israelites? We have a different spirit on us. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. We have the spirit of life. They have the spirit of death. That's why everything equals death. That's why they push death. Their movies are about death. Death has to, every Disney show has to start with one of the parents dying. That's their ways, though. They seem right to them. That this is how it goes. This is how it's supposed to be. But let me check the phone and make sure it's not overheating. All right, we're still good for a couple more minutes. Let me keep going until I can, until the phone dies, I guess. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. Because they search out iniquity, and that's really cool. You know why? 1 Corinthians, let's go to chapter 3. Because it just makes sense. They search out iniquity. They search out death, pretty much. They look for ways to kill us slowly and what they consider humane. That's why everything we have, our air is poisonous, our water, our food. But let me go ahead and get 1 Corinthians 3, and we're going to start at verse 18. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seeming to be wise in this world, they're wise to do evil in this world, let him become a fool. If you're wise in this world, you're a fool, that he may be wise. So, in other words, to have wisdom in this world is foolishness in the Bible. But to be a fool in this world is to have wisdom in the Bible. Because we're not going by what they say. We're going by what the power of the Spirit tells us. Let me keep going. For the wisdom of the world is foolishness with Yahweh. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So, when you guys are wise to do evil and you search out iniquity and you do a deep search and all that, well, He's going to take you out just like He took Haman out. Haman built the gallows for Mordecai. What happened to him? He got taken out by the devices of his own imagination, by his own craftiness. Let me keep going. I'm going to bring out a couple more verses, and then we're going to call it. Let's go to Isaiah 19 and 4. Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 4. And the Egyptians, that's us, we live in spiritual Egypt, I will give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith Yahweh, the Yahweh of hosts, the Lord of hosts. Wait a second. Proverbs, wait, where was I? Isaiah, I'm sorry. I was in the wrong spot. Isaiah 19, and let's read it from the top. Let's start from the top. The burden of Egypt. Behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. Who are the idols? This is very interesting because it says the idols of Egypt. Now, if you flip your dollar over, we all know that we live in spiritual Egypt. I mean, the pyramid's right there on your dollar bill. And don't think that eagle doesn't have anything to do with it either. That eagle's been in our, been with Egypt, Germania Major, Germania Minor, the Romans, the Greeks. It goes all the way back to Babylon. So that eagle on your dollar bill represents the same thing it's represented since the beginning of time. Now, let's see what idol. What is the biblical definition of an idol? The worship of something or someone other than Yahweh as though it were Yahweh. So all of your celebrities and movie stars, what did they do when they overturned the Roe versus Wade case? Oh, now the celebrities have to come out and tell you, this is horrible. You should be able to murder your babies. Abortion is murder. You should go to jail 25 to life. How is it that it's okay? I'm going to say it just like this. I'm going to be really rude and blunt. If you don't want to get pregnant, don't have sex. That simple. Now a bunch of women are going to be running around claiming, and my buddy's wife said this, and I believe her 100%. She said that, I think a bunch of women are all just going to be claiming that they got raped from now on, so they could try and get an abortion because they were raped. So just think how you men, you better be very careful of who you decide to spend your time with, because this is going to get real weird real quick. This is not a joke. This is really happening. Isaiah 19, 1 through 4. The burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and he shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. Because all of your celebrities and your stars and all the people that you worship are going to be like, oh no, it's real. And the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And what that means is, I don't know if you ever felt that weird, that crazy feeling in your heart when you find out something, you get that flash of reality. That's your heart melting right there. And I will set Egyptian against Egyptian, and they shall fight, one brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. What does that take us back to? That takes us right back to Matthew 24. So let's go back to Matthew 24, verse 6 again. And there shall hear of wars, and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but that it is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. So, let me go back over here again. And I will set Egyptian against Egyptian. This is Isaiah 19 and 2. That was Matthew 24 and 6. Isaiah 19 and 2. And I will set Egyptian against Egyptian. That means our people are all going to be fighting against each other. I think that you should have abortion. I don't think you should have abortion. Black lives matter. Every life matters. This, that, and the third. Everything is set up for a debate or a fight. And it's by design to keep us against each other, because if we join together like we're supposed to, we will rise up. Let me keep going. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols. Who are the idols? All your celebrities. Oh, don't listen to them. We're celebrities. We're rich. We know everything. You don't know shit. You guys get paid to lie. And you're good liars. You're so good that they pay you to lie to us about things that could harm our health. They go to the idols and the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. So you're going straight to witchcraft. And guess what? Guess what the word pharmacy means? It might as well just be wizard or witchcraft, because that's what it means. The word pharmacy has a Latin root word that is pharmakeia. Pharmakeia means witchcraft. You will go to witchcraft. You will take yourselves to And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. That is all witchcraft. If you knew the Levitical law, you would know that it says that that is punishable by death. No, the laws are done away with. All right, all the laws are done away with. Everything is lawful, but not all things are expedient. So just because you think it's going to be okay, it's still not good for you. Let me keep going. Let's jump over to, let me read one more verse. And the Egyptians will I give over unto the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. The Shabbat. Okay, now let's move on. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 12. Jump around some more, get some more precepts. Matthew 12, and we're going to start at verse 25. Matthew 12 and 25. And it is about, oh God, it's got to be 100 degrees, at least 110, with about 80% humidity out here. So believe me, I am truthfully, joyful to be out here. I am joyfully, I just live so far away, and the gas prices, it's an honor to be able to come out to the streets. It's an honor. When everybody else can't go, it's an honor over here. Matthew chapter 12, starting at verse, we're going to start at verse 25. Matthew 12 and 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. If Satan cast out Satan, then and he is divided against himself, how shall his kingdom then stand? So you cannot stand and fight yourself at the same time. And that's pursuant to Mark 3 and 24 to 27, and pursuant to Luke 11 and 17. But let's go to Mark 3 and read it anyway. Mark chapter 3, 24 to 27. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. If you guys are fighting all the time, what happens in your house? You get a divorce, and the house gets sold, and everybody goes their own way. A kingdom that keeps fighting against itself is taken out. Woo! It's hot out here today. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. So he's putting his own end into play. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except for he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil the house. And what they do to take our strong men out is they completely remove us from the house. First, they tell the woman, if you get rid of the man, we'll give you money, we'll give you a house, but if he shows up, we're taking everything away. So right there, they've destroyed the house. Get rid of them altogether. However, like I told you with the child support, cause them to have a divorce. Preach to be gay. Make everybody effeminate. Make sure that people will not stand up for themselves. Teach them to be cowards from birth. And then, what do? They come in and run you over. They come in and run you down. Let's just read 28 and 29 since it's in red still. Verily I say unto you, all sins shall be forgiven unto the sons of men, and blasphemies wherewith soever they shall blaspheme. But he that shall blaspheme against the Holy Ghost, the Ruach HaKodesh, hath never forgiveness, but is in danger of eternal damnation. So, and that's kind of getting off of, that's probably why I didn't put it in my class this morning, but that's getting a little off what I was talking about. But we are going to be forgiven for our sins in the end as Israelites, yes. But anybody that's blaspheming against the actual Holy Spirit, you are in danger of losing not only your life, but to be in eternal damnation doesn't sound good. All right, I got to bring out one more thing though, because they're doing all this for one reason. Everything they're doing, even the Roe versus Wade case, they turn that over. You no longer have rights to your own body again. That means that they can say, we need to implement a digital ID. We need to make sure everybody has a subdermal implant so we can keep track on everybody. We can't. That way there's no crimes. That way we can make sure there just nothing goes wrong. But really, once they do that to you, they're taking away all your rights. They're going to take away everything you got. Let me show you. And this is proof that that's exactly how it's going down. Revelation chapter 13 verses 16. He causes both rich and small, great. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or their foreheads, and that no man might buy, sell, save he that have, buy or sell, save he that have the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So just right there, that shows you that they're going to cut you off if you don't follow what they're saying. This whole Hegelian dialectica, order through chaos, is to push this implant. And if you take it, Revelation 14:9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his subdermal implant in his forehead or his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture into a cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So, let's get a precept on that. Being burned in fire. Let me see if I can get a precept on that. Let's go to Isaiah. And this is it. I'm going to close out here. Before I pass out, I'm getting so hot I feel like I'm about to pass out. All right, Isaiah 66 and 24. Now, what did I just tell you? The same shall drink of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into a cup of his indignation, and shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and the presence of the Lamb. Isaiah 66 and 24. We're going to close out here. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, neither shall the fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. They shall be hated by everybody, everything, animals, trees, everything. But anyway, so we are going to come down out of the kingdom just to look at your ass burn. Anyways, with that being said, Revelation 22 and 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear, I hope you're able to get something out of this message. Call Allah call Chalayama, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Waha Rakadash, Rakadash, to Allah, and have a great rest of the day.